Hello and welcome to the Ground Podcast, where we are going to revisit the teams that we ranked in Champions League at the start of the season. And now, since the knockout phase have been started, we are here to see if we got few things right. And Vedant, before starting, what do you think Arsenal could achieve that United have been achieving since the start of the season? Finally,
This game week.
I'll tell you it's a week break because
Oh,
Arsenal were not in any competition like Manchester United. And finally, we could have a break that United have been getting because they are just going to play 40 games this season. How do you feel? How do you feel? I mean, the Carrick thing is positive. I
about
think that,
about the
yeah.
40 game season, obviously it's a big disappointment, but yeah, I mean it might be good for Carrick because he will get to work with the players a lot because they have been used to playing in a three at the back, and now again mid-season when you try to shift the system with a completely new manager, it obviously takes time for the
No
players
one
to adapt.
cares. This is a UCL episode. We are not here to listen to how United are doing good.
We're gonna be there next season, man. Get used to it. This is a
Yeah,
trailer.
but yeah, I think that's United does have an advantage because Chelsea and Liverpool are going to play, Villa are going to play, and United, as I said, do have like that advantage. Like, yeah, teams actually need a week break. It's hard to imagine. Like people will say, I can just play 2 games every 3 days, but professionals do require the rest. All right, so should I share the screen and are you ready to see how bad we did or how good we did? I think there are a few things that surprised me how we got it right, but some of the things that we just got it wrong. So yeah, anyways. Okay, so sharing the screen right now. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Let's get into it.
Okay. So firstly, I think the biggest thing that we got right was Bodo Glimt.
Yeah.
Underrated genius.
Yeah. I think that was you. I had no idea about how good they could be. I think the Bodo Glimt shout was yours. So full credit on that. And they just have been like hands down such an amazing journey and what they've achieved. And I think they weren't even the league champions last year. They're the second best team in Norway and they're still
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, that was really shocking. And they defeated Inter Milan, which again I think you had Inter Milan in underrated genius, and I had Villarreal in underrated genius, and it was a horrendous performance from Villarreal. I think they just got 1 point.
I think they also defeated Man City in the league stage, Bodo Glimt. So it's not just one giant that they have slayed, and yeah,
And I
Inter
think
Milan
also
was
Atletico.
Atletico. Inter Milan was a bad shout because they lost their manager, and it's just been a very bad season in the UCL for them. But in the league, I think they're doing all right still, not out of
Yeah,
it
they'll
still
probably
yet.
win the
Yeah,
league. Yeah.
yeah.
Let's come to the nobody cares section. I think a lot of the teams that we didn't care about are knocked out, and that's I think we got it right. Yeah, PSV, Pafos, Monaco was actually really good. I think they gave a very good
I wanted to
tough
place
fight
them.
to
I
PSV.
wanted to place them in the underrated genius. You didn't let me. But to be fair, they also sacked their manager after that, and
Yeah,
it was going to go downhill. But they did give a good fight to PSG, so credit where
yeah.
it's due.
Another team that we said we didn't care about, but I think could have gone to the chaos and entertainment category. Club Brugge, I think they gave Atletico a handful and also did qualify for the knockouts. A Belgium team qualifying, that's kind of a big thing. And they also sacked the manager as well. They also sacked the manager in between the season.
I think they were your career mode team, so you could have took their side. In,
So Leverkusen still there, Atletico still there, Athletic Bilbao is gone, Atalanta is still there, yeah, yes, and
so
Ajax gone. So nobody cares. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are still there. Coming to I think the villain category. Let's get rid of the villain and overhyped category. Then we come to the other teams. Villain category, Marseille are out. I thought they would do well under De Zerbi, but I think the board is very toxic. The club is very toxic. De Zerbi left as well, right?
the players are also very toxic.
Yeah. And Napoli, I had really high expectations from
Same.
Napoli. I thought that they will, they came close. They actually also almost defeated Chelsea, but I think Conte is just not made for
But
European
again, they
leagues.
also had injuries to De Bruyne. They didn't have
Yeah.
Lukaku available. So, I mean, it just didn't go. I mean, Conte's European record speaks for itself, but they could have done better if the squad was fit. But again, they just didn't. Perform.
Uh, and Newcastle is still there, and Newcastle actually qualified directly. Uh, no, I think no. Sorry.
They
Newcastle actually
defeated
did.
Karabag, yeah.
Yeah. They defeated Karabakh, which was like 9-1 or something, right? 9-2 something aggregate. So all right. But did we get Chelsea and Newcastle villain right? So what did we decide a villain was? Was it like nobody would actually like them to progress, and that's what our
No,
definition
no,
was?
the
Like,
the category for villain was that they won't actually, go on to win the whole thing, but they will, in the
yeah.
process, they will take down the good guys or the big teams. And like, it's just that kind of a thing where
Yeah.
it won't matter in the end, but they are also the villains because they took out the big guys or the bad guy or
Mm,
the good guys in the tournament. So I
yeah.
think looking at Chelsea, I don't know if they actually did anything that substantial, but they are in the knockout stages. So we'll see based on the draw what they do in the quarterfinals and the semifinals.
Yeah. And coming to overhyped, Liverpool still there. We'll talk about Liverpool in a while. Benfica, I did say I remember that since Jose Mourinho is there, people are expecting like a big thing from Benfica, but I just feel it won't happen for them. But in the end, I think I got this wrong because obviously they defeated Madrid and came to the knockout phase and obviously got beaten by Real Madrid. But like, what do you think? Do you think we got this wrong? Benfica wrong? Do you think like, yeah, it was still overhyped? It was
I
like
mean,
one game that they played well.
eventually they did not make it. But again, like it's not like 100% right or 100% wrong because they did actually manage to qualify, and they could have even beaten Real Madrid, but because they didn't even have Mbappe for the second
Mm,
leg of the tie, and they could have come really close, but in the end they did falter, and that is what we expected because I read a stat that Jose Mourinho has now lost, I think, his last 9 knockout games in the Champions League or in European competition. He has not won in his last 9 games with, I think, Manchester United, Tottenham, then I think with Roma, and now with Benfica. So that's a really bad record. He's slowly turning into Conte. And yeah, I think that is also in itself his inability to evolve with the game and still being stuck in
yeah.
his time and with his rigidity. And I would also say it was deserved the way he defended his players with all the racism incidents. So yeah.
Let me see if I can just delete this. No, okay. All right. So now we get to the interesting part where we can actually talk about the chaos, and I think we got all of it right because Dortmund, I think, gave us a lot of
No, I
chaos and
think you have to remove
entertainment.
Dortmund. They were knocked out.
Yeah. I will remove teams
Achha,
that
okay, so
haven't
you're
qualified from
discussing
this
now.
row. We are still doing this row. Yeah. So I think coming to Dortmund, you said you will never support Dortmund again after they lost to Atlanta. Why was that?
So, like with Dortmund, it's always been this thing where they just get too close and they give you so many hopes and then they end up disappointing you. That is also the issue I have with Tottenham. That is why I place them in the nobody cares. And even with Atletico Madrid, because they go to finals, they give you hope, and then they just do what they have been doing for all these years, which is to bottle it. And there are a lot of different reasons for that. Like, but with Dortmund, I've experienced this 2 years ago. I even told you about it when they were like top of the table going into the final game week. I think they just had to draw or win the game. They just didn't have to lose it. It was a home match and they still lost. And Bayern eventually won. And then even in the UCL final against Real Madrid, I think Dortmund had defeated PSG en
Mm,
route to the final. They gave everyone hope that they will finally, maybe an underdog will win, Madrid's legacy or Madrid's streak of winning the trophy will go. But again, they just disappointed there, and that is why I had them in this category. And
Yeah.
even against Atlanta, I
They
think they
were
had
2
a
nil up. They were 2
2
nil
nil
up. They
up.
just didn't have to lose.
Yeah, they went 3-0 down, then they somehow got a goal back, and then in the 91st or the 92nd minute,
Gave
their
up
team got, I
penalty.
think,
Yeah.
two red cards, and they
Yeah.
eventually conceded and were knocked out. And that is just a team that you cannot rely on. And they were in such good form going into this. Niko Kovac has been doing so well for so many months. I think they were undefeated for a lot of games in the league also. If Bayern were not in such good form, they would be top of the table in any other Bundesliga season. But because Bayern is doing an insane job right now, they're second. But again, like, it's just Dortmund.
And yeah, I mean, the goals that they conceded, I think, were pressure goals, lack of communication, and like you said, I think, yeah, I mean, it's just that when it comes to the finals and the semifinals, they did very well when they had like this 2012 squad that they had, and they always do well. It's never like they will just go out of contention immediately, but they will do well. They'll go and try to reach the late knockout stages, but in the end disappoint when you're mad. But also, like, doesn't it speak a lot about where football is right now? Because because a club like Dortmund that has such a huge history, such a big history, they have won titles as well, they can't sustain a year, like 2 3 year form, because they have to sell their players immediately. So if they reach semi-final or a final in a season, next season they will sell their core because they have to, and because that's their model. So it's not like, you know we can't really expect them to do well, because at least Atletico Madrid, they are the third best team in Spain, and they still don't rely on selling players immediately. They still are able to keep their core intact and then eventually sell them, because they can't, I mean, yeah, I mean, they can't buy players like City or Arsenal do or Real Madrid do. So Dortmund, Napoli, even Inter Milan, they played the final and still can't, like, they can't compete now, because they just don't have the money to make sure that
And
good
I
players
think the
arrive.
the worst part with Dortmund is that over the years they have been selling their best players to their main rivals.
Yeah.
Even with, like, you with Ajax, with Atletico, or with any other team, you could argue that they sell their players to the best teams outside of their league. But Dortmund just sell it to Bayern, and then it just makes no sense if you're just strengthening like, it's a one team league and you're just strengthening them further.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think we need to look at how German football works. I do know that 50% is owned by the fans, 50% is owned by, like, the owner, and they don't spend that much. Even Bayern Munich, if you look, they don't spend that kind of money that Premier League teams do. But Bayern just do well because, I mean, they get all the local talent in Germany from other teams. But somehow I think there should be a challenger in Bundesliga League One, and there's going to be a huge challenge to make these clubs profitable and challenge every year, because Bayern Munich is already a brand. Dortmund is not. If they don't sell their core players, I think they have to look at how I can make this club big enough that I still get revenue,
Yeah.
and still run the club. And I think that's a real shame, because these clubs are really, really good, but then Bayern Munich just wins every single time. So I don't know how German fans. I think maybe these club fans, and I hope that I get to talk with someone from Germany and talk with, like, what do you expect start of the season? What do you look forward to? Because it cannot be winning a league title. It will always be maybe Champions League, maybe defeating their local rivals, or
Yeah.
maybe defeating the best of the rest, or being the best of the rest. Because you just can't beat Bayern Munich. You have to rely on Bayern Munich really doing bad. So
And
yeah,
Jabi Alonso and that Leverkusen team was proof of what can happen if you actually trust a manager, give him
yeah,
what he wants, and even if you don't give him what he wants, just give him ample time to do what he wants and go toe to toe with Bayern Munich. I mean, they
yeah.
won, like, I think two, three. trophies. They missed out on the Europa League. They lost to Atlanta in the final, but they actually, and even in his second season after that, it's not like they were completely out of the picture. Leverkusen was still challenging
Uh,
for the title. Company still won it last season, but they were still there, and it's just proof that
yeah,
it could happen. Even I think RB Leipzig, in the earlier days, they were like a really strong club that could have challenged, but even
yeah.
over the years, because of their model also, they have just like fallen down the pecking order, and
Uh,
now they're like nowhere to be seen when it comes to elite
and
clubs.
it is really worrying because Mönchengladbach could be relegated. Schalke has been relegated. Wolfsburg could be relegated. So these are like big clubs right now, just not able to sustain in Bundesliga. All right. So moving forward, putting Dortmund in they're out. Frankfurt, I think we got this right as well because Frankfurt did give us a lot of incredible matches. I think they were entertaining. So we got this one right. And then Galatasaray. Of course, we got this one right because Galatasaray and Juventus had this insane game. And I want to ask you about that game. Do you feel the red card was harsh and that wasn't a red?
They had Mauro Icardi,
Yeah.
Leroy Sané, and like all of these big players on the bench while playing against Juventus, and they still dominated them. Without those players, the kind of performance they did put out, it was amazing. I mean, like with Victor Osimhen, we know how talented he is, and it was kind of surprising. He went there because he just had insane wage demands that no one just wanted to agree with. But even going there, he's still continuing that form, and like that team is really good.
And I think Galatasaray has troubled Juventus in the past as well. Do you like remember when Wesley Sneijder used to play for Galatasaray? They put Juventus out of the group stage itself, and I watched that game live. That's why I remember. But yeah, entertainment wise, they have given us. I think you should watch the highlight. I thought you had watched the highlight because that was just an incredible game because Juventus actually did equalize. They went 3-0 up, and that red card was really really harsh
They
because
also
what
got a
happened.
red card in the first leg, right?
Yes.
So they
So
got red cards in both the legs. Okay.
yes, I think yes. So the second leg, uh I think, yeah, so the red card changed everything, and the red card meant, and when they got the red card, I think they were just 1-0 up, or they weren't even 1-0 up, but then they went 3-0 up, and it was an incredible show of spirit fight. I think you could see football winning there, and then they equalized, and then, but of course, 10 men cannot sustain for 30 minutes. It was just impossible for them, and you could see that they missed a lot of chances, and you could also clearly see why Victor Osimhen is so important and why he is a really good striker. He's elite. I think he is up there, but he won't be considered now because he's playing in Turkey. But if you look at the highlights, the finishing of Juventus was not really good. But Osimhen got this one opportunity, and it was a difficult chance. But his finish was so class. It You could sense that, yeah, he's a good striker. He's a
Yeah.
striker who is up there. So
And
that was
I'm sorry
incredible. Yeah.
to, just a minute to talk about this. I was just looking at Galatasaray's lineup. They have Lucas Torreira and Mario Lamina. It's like,
Yeah,
the two average gold 81, 82 rated
yeah.
cards in FIFA in their midfield from the Premier League. They even have Gundogan on the bench. They have this Sacha
Yes.
Boey, I think he's Bayern's player.
Leroy Sane is also there
Leroy
in the
Sané,
team.
Mauro
Yeah.
Icardi, and like they're still achieving this, and it's such a streets team. If you look at it, we always say,
Yeah.
the streets
I
will remember kind of players, and this is what this
yeah.
Galatasaray lineup feels like.
Yeah, it feels as though they are like dangerous players because they give that energy. I think we should have put them in the villains category,
You should.
but I think we still got it right. I
They
think we
still have
still got it right
Davinson
because
Sanchez is at center back, the Spurs former guy who also scored, which is they have a really good
sorry,
lineup. I
I
think now
cannot hear what you're
when we
saying.
do the ratings for the when we rank them for the knockouts, I think we will have some really changed opinions now about our list.
Yeah. So these are the teams remaining very quickly. Do you want to change a few places? Superstar, we got all of them right. All of them qualified quite easily, except PSG, of course. Like PSG, I think due to their injuries and this season, let's come to that. But what would you change? I will give you the first move if you want to change anything.
Okay, I would place Liverpool in the chaos bracket, I would say, because like I underestimated them because of the start to the season they've had, and even recently their form has been bad. But I do believe because of how well they actually did in the Champions League, it's like, you know, maybe in the league they're having issues, but in the Champions League, it's like for some teams, it's really different. They perform very badly in the league, but they perform really good in Europe, or they perform really well in the league, or they perform very badly in Europe. But there are some teams which do well in both, which we have kept in the superstar category. I do not think Liverpool will perform really well in the league, but I do feel that they have something to give now in the Champions League. Once even Alexander Isak comes back from injury, and now they have a lot of good fixtures in the league, they can actually focus maybe on the Champions League because they know that the league is now done. They cannot challenge for the title.
Right.
So they can actually put all of their efforts in the UCL. And that is why I feel that they'll go and cause some chaos. I don't think they'll go and win the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure they'll go and cause some chaos in the knockout stages because they have some really good players. Slot has changes
Yeah.
still. So yeah, I would like to place them there.
I remember I said that Liverpool will be in the superstar thing and Arsenal will be in the not not overhyped, but like obviously we don't have any other categories so overhyped. So overhyped meaning I don't think that okay people are hyping Arsenal and they are not good enough. I think they are good enough, but I think they just want Premier League more as well, more than the Champions League. So when it comes to making that choice, and I know that the squad depth will allow them to make different choices, but I still think that winning UCL is very difficult if you don't have a trophy experience or if you don't have a clutch moment experience, and doing this continue like winning the Premier League and the Champions League when you haven't won anything for the last so many years, like a big major trophy, and under Arteta 7 years haven't won anything. I just feel that they may not go on to win the Champions League. And I that was my thinking in the beginning as well. Like, yes, they are a very good team, but I don't feel like they are like this superstar team that will just entertain us or anything. They'll play as a team, but I don't know. So, but I will give Liverpool the chaos thing because I think that yeah, maybe they won't win the UCL because of the defense. I think if Guehi would have arrived at Liverpool, that would have made so much sense more than City. For them, they would have, I think, maybe elevated a bit more in the UCL as well. They would have been able to rest Konate or maybe rest Van Dijk for a game, but they just can't now. So Van Dijk and Konate have to play all the remaining games, and I just fear that even if one gets injured or even if someone is fatigued, they will obviously leak goals. So that's one thing. Liverpool. All right. So my pick would be I will I would demote PSG to overhyped. And the only reason is I think they may not have what they had last season because I feel that Luis Enrique is like I'm done with it, and they'll still go for it obviously. But looking at their game against Monaco and the way they are also like not dominating League One, I feel that maybe teams have just now started to get how we can play against PSG, how we can score, and Monaco scoring 4 goals against them is going to give a lot of encouragement for other teams. And when it comes to playing Bayern Munich or maybe Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and I think the English teams have just got the edge of physicality now with them that maybe PSG lacks a bit. And again, their players are now coming back slowly, so it's going to take some time. So, what do you think? Should we move
Yeah,
them to?
no, I totally agree. That was also going to be my pick because the overhyped category is something which Liverpool made sense because everyone was because of the transfer window they had, everyone at the start of the season was actually saying they're going to, they were actually really excited, and they were saying that this team won the league last season. They've added so much to it. Now they can actually, go and win the whole thing. But we actually looked at it logically, and that is why we placed them there, because we knew that this wasn't sustainable. And now with PSG, it's the same, that when they were found out by Chelsea, Enzo Maresca, in the FIFA Club World Cup final where they lost 3-0, that was, I think, when teams realized that they can actually go and, defeat PSG. They're not this invincible team that everyone is making them out to be. If you actually counter them with the right strategies, they can actually be defeated. And as you said, they haven't been convincing in Ligue 1, and not even in the Champions League. They barely, qualified. So I think,
Yeah,
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 they just don't seem to be it this season.
yeah. Also, I think there's one more change that I would like to do. I think because now Tottenham have Igor Tudor, they are going to be in the chaos category as well, because his Juventus side, I think, back to back lost 5-4 to Inter, and I think drew 4-4 against someone in UCL. And it was back to back. So I think he is that kind of a guy who will just come in and try to hype up Tottenham. And I think it's just chaos at that club. It's chaos. I don't know, like, I don't think he's going to look at any structure. He's going to look at, okay, now I have to go and focus on defense. Like, you know what, have to just play good, because we don't have anything to look forward to. UCL, there's a long shot that we might win it, but like, it's really far away. That shot is really far away. So whoever we face, just go on and try to play out. I don't think they will sit back and try to defend and make a game out of it, because it's going to hurt them if they go on in the UCL itself in the quarters and semifinals. Is going to make it more difficult for them to not get relegated in the Premier League. So I think is just going to, take your chances, play football. If it doesn't work out, good. We just focus on the league.
I actually disagree. I would still keep them in the nobody cares, because, like, I mean, I know the idea that you have in your mind, even I want to believe in it, that Igor Tudor under this new manager, the performance will improve. But just from what I watched against their game, like against Arsenal, they couldn't string five passes together. Like, they were playing like school kids who have been thrown out to play in a ZP match, just go out and play. They had no chemistry, no coordination, and there was no fight within that Spurs team. And they still have Madison out. They don't have any creativity. I just don't like, maybe under Thomas Frank they did do well in the UCL, but again, to be fair, their fixtures were also really good. But I still don't care for them that much. But if you feel that they can cause chaos, I'm not going to oppose that. Maybe I could be wrong. I
Yeah, I think chaos, as in, I'm not looking at them progressing. I'm just looking at a 3-4 aggregate, or like a 5-3 aggregate. Like, it's just going to
I
be
just
chaotic. That
I
game is
just
going to
can't
be
see
chaotic.
how they're going to score 3 or 4 goals, because they'll absolutely just
Yeah, I mean,
they disappointed me so much. I just
yeah.
don't have any hopes from them. They're like, they can even be relegated from the Premier League. I'm not even saying that they will stay up. It's just a hopeless team for me right now.
Yeah, and like, a very important point. If you watch, do you watch the overlap show, Stick to Football, by Gary Neville? And
Sometimes just mostly the opinions which go
yeah.
viral because they're so stupid. Yeah, so
So, I think they invited Roberto Martinez, the Portuguese coach, not the Portuguese, the coach of Portugal national team. And he said, like, there was a very good thing that he said, that if you are in a relegation battle, these are all terms that don't mean anything to football players or coaches. Like, if you ask them, no coach is going to say and say to his players, like, okay, you know what, we are in a relegation battle, we have to play good, because those are just terms that don't mean anything. Because when you are in a sports team, and I think we now know that, because a lot of players and coaches from all sports talk about this, like, we take one training session at a time, we take 1 hour at a time, we try to be in the present. So he will be telling Tottenham Tottenham players that just focus on this training session. No, okay, now we have to do this. So focus on this, focus on this. The next game, we have to win this game. We have to win this game. So it's not going to be, what, we can be relegated. Okay, you know what, we don't want to go further in the Champions League because we are in a relegation battle. It's not going to be that. And I think Igor Tudor is just that kind of a manager who comes in, and even a Juventus side, and Juventus never actually score a lot of goals. It's not in their DNA. But he came there, he like took up the energy that was lost for a couple of years because now they're not the top team in Italy, and then he made them exciting. So even though Tottenham don't have the players to make that excitement happen in the Premier League, but probably in the UCL, because we know that
Maybe.
even Wolves is kind of a candidate to win a Europa League or something, because that's the kind of quality Premier League has. That's
Yeah.
my reasoning behind it, nothing else.
It
Yeah.
could happen. I just don't see how it will happen. But again, I'm not completely denying the possibility. Like, yeah, they could surely go and do that. I think my next pick would be I want to take out Man City from Nobody Cares, and I
Mhm.
want to place them either in underrated genius or in the chaos
Villain.
category. Because my reasoning for placing City here was that people actually do not care that much about City because it's always been that we don't want this team to win the league, so it's
Mhm.
better if Man City wins it because there are not a lot of fans that you would have to probably argue with
Yeah.
compared to your friends who mostly support Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. There are not a lot of City fans out there, and we would just prefer them to win because they are not that big as compared to our clubs, and we don't actually see them as that big of rivals. And again, because I thought that Pep was like this season, it was not going to be it for City because of they're not really playing that convincingly at the start of the season. I did not even expect them to be in this place right now, challenging for the title. But I was proven wrong. Pep actually adapted. I think you had said at the time that Pep is cooking something, but I just did not believe because he had a lot of these. He had assembled a lot of these uh, players who are not exactly wingers, not exactly number 10s, which is
Yeah.
the right position, like Cherki, Bernardo Silva, Philip Foden, and their entire attack was reliant on them. But he did evolve. How he has utilized Nico Riley. I've talked to you about this season. He is a attacking midfielder. He used him as a left back. Now he's playing in the midfield. Then he even went out and signed Semenyo, who's doing actually really well for them. And now he's even turned Haaland from a goal scorer. He has helped him evolve his game to now being someone who can contribute to the attack of the team even without scoring goals. We saw that against Newcastle as well. So he has evolved. Yeah, I was even unsure about how Donnarumma would fit into this team because he's not a ball playing centre back that Pep system is, but he has even adapted him into the
Ball playing goalkeeper. So you said
yeah.
center back. Yeah, goalkeeper. Yeah.
So I think I'm confused whether to place him in the underrated genius because I really underestimated him going into this season, or to place him in the chaos category. I would put that up to you. I've given you my reasoning. You can take the final
I think,
this.
yeah, yeah. So again, the no one cares why we put City in. No one cares because no one actually had any eyeballs on them. Like, you know what? Maybe they win, maybe they won't, but it's like we are not looking at them right now because we know that they're going through a transition, and Pep Guardiola is probably going to leave. So this is like a season to just cope up with things. The Premier League title thing, I think a lot has to do with the drop in points by Arsenal
Yeah.
in the games that they should have won, which was first Wolves. And I think the United game that they played, Zubimendi with a horrendous mistake, and then giving Cunha that much space, and obviously it was a world class finish. So I think those two games, if Arsenal would have won those games, the title race would have almost been over. But since City are now back, and I think the injuries have also now lessened, and now they don't have a lot of injuries, and players are coming back. I can go for underrated genius because it's that time of the year when Guardiola is getting his players back, and it
And
could be
it just feels criminal to put Pep and City in underrated because yeah, he is a
But I
genius.
think
And
this season it
yeah,
is
maybe in the
justified.
context of this
Ex-
season, we can put them there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
within
think
the
that way.
context of this season, because it's like they are now coming to their best, but I still think that they are not really like the city team that is going to dominate in Europe as well. But because again, Premier League teams are doing it really good in UCL, I think that's the only reason I feel that the likes of Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Chelsea, they have a chance of going further because of that physicality, because of the squad depth that the other teams just don't have. So, underrated genius means, you know what, no one is expecting City to win it right now because they're also in a title race. You know, what would you prioritize? Because if they go ahead in the UCL in the quarters and the semis, it's going to be difficult for them to come back and again play. I think Arsenal have a much better squad depth where they can play the UCL and still play Madueke and Odegaard in the Premier League. Whereas City, if Guardiola plays Haaland and Bernardo Silva, he's not going to be able to replace them in the Premier League. Even if he plays someone like Foden, Bernardo Silva is someone who cannot be replaced. But Arsenal side, apart from Rice, maybe others can be replaced. And I think even if you make 4 or 5 changes, the team will still be able to get some results
Yeah.
in the Premier League. So I think, yeah.
I
And the
think
last change I think from my side would be,
okay.
I think Bodo Glimt has done their job. I think they have been underrated genius and they have done their job. I think now, because the toughness of the competition will increase, whoever they face is going to be 10 times stronger than them, even if it is, you know, whatever, even if they qualify further and it's Sporting or they get someone, even Galatasaray looks really better than them. And now that they have defeated Inter, people will see and see them in a much different way. I think they will now see them as, you know what, let's not take any chances. Why take the risks? So I think they will just go in chaos thing. I don't think nobody cares about them. People care about this club because it's a
I
really good
mean, yeah,
club
you
and people
actually
want this.
want them to do well, but
Yeah.
practically it's just going to be the way that you explained it. So chaos feels. I think I'm happy with this list. I just have
Yes.
probably one
Yeah.
change to discuss
Okay.
with you, and then we'll make that or not make that an end is.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just, because Atletico Madrid have been really impressing me recently. They have been really fluid in attack compared to the earlier Atletico Madrid teams where, Simeone, as you know, a very defensive minded coach, gets labeled as a terrorist. But recently, since they signed Adamola Lookman, and they attackingly, they have improved a lot. They showed that against Barcelona as well. They've been doing
Yeah.
well in
Winning
the league.
4-1.
Yeah, I mean, they're not doing that well in the league. They're fourth, I think, right now. They're not challenging for the title. But in the UCL, it probably, I mean, I don't
Could
care
come
about
out.
them
Come
for
well. Yeah.
some reason, but maybe this season could be different because of they could actually be put in the chaos or the villain category because the kind of football they're playing, they might be able to upset
Yeah.
someone or just cause some chaos.
Yeah, I think Atletico can never be a villain in anyone's eyes because I think the way they are positioned, because we know that, why? Because we know that every single time, every single season they have to face Real Madrid and Barcelona. And it's like it's a club run by a very passionate player who turned into their manager and has given them the lift that they never experienced in their entire history. So I don't know who sees Atletico as villains. Yes, they play in a certain style, but even if they play in that certain style, they still get goals. They still entertain. So I would probably listen to you and put them in the chaos thing. Like, yeah, they're going to give
Feels
us
right.
some. And sorry.
It just feels right. I think they might
Yeah.
end up doing something that probably we didn't expect of them start of the season,
Yeah.
but because of the way they've evolved recently and because of the signings that they've made, they might be able to do some damage or just have some fun.
Yeah, and that's it. So we feel that nobody actually cares what these three clubs do: Atlanta, Leverkusen, and Sporting, how they play. The chaos causers now in the next phase are going to be Galatasaray, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Tottenham, Bodo Glimt, and Atletico Madrid. And the villains are going to be Chelsea and Liverpool, who would probably knock out a team that we feel is a really nice team, a very good team, and we don't want these guys. And remember, I said
Would be
Newcastle would
Bodo.
make. Yeah, and it was a like a very bad assumption because I just felt Newcastle will improve, but I said that Newcastle might make the semi-final of the UCL, but we never know. I don't know if they will, but anyways, they would be villains. PSG overhyped, underrated, genius, City, and superstar. I think we don't need to talk about these guys. Arsenal, Barcelona, Bayern Munich still favorites to actually win. And I think we can, I think looking at this list, maybe we can just say these are the favorites to win it. City
I
and
mean,
PSG
these
come
top four teams would
yeah,
be the semi-finalists
yeah,
right now. If you like on paper,
yeah,
if you ask me,
yeah, could
again,
be,
what
could
happens
be.
is always like you cannot control that. But
Yeah,
on paper, these four right now, given the circumstances, would be the semi-finalists for me.
yeah. Would be fun. All right. Really enjoyed this episode. Yeah, all right. We're done now. Let's see what the draws are now. I think we can just make a reel out of it and see if if you want to make some changes more. But I think yeah, that's it. All right. Bye bye.